At that point, I had privileges at 5 different hospitals. I'd met a bunch of other docs, and I was blessed to go in with Mort Rayfield, who was chief of surgery down at Valley at the time. And he had one of his associates who'd gone on sabbatical or whatnot, so he had an extra space, and I was first assisting with him and doing procedures in his little procedure room, and we've grown since then.
Welcome to the Business Owner Spotlight by AudateMedia. In this interview show, you will learn how to succeed through other people's stories, challenges that they overcame, and how they are winning in this new economy. You'll learn what to do in your business, what not to do in your business, and how others are succeeding. Tune in every week to discover new stories, new businesses, and new ideas.
Hey, Dr. Zimmerman, welcome to the Business Owner Spotlight. How you doing today, man?
Very well, Andy. Thank you so much for having me here.
First and foremost, thank you so much for being on the episode.
Appreciate the opportunity.
So, one of the things that I wanted to ask you in preparation of you coming here, especially what you just told me off air about how the surgery that you were doing or that your team is doing, is can you give me a six-pack?
Is there a six-pack hiding under there? Because there is.
There's a six-pack hiding under here, without a doubt. I just got to work for it.
Yeah, baby.
So you're what I would consider the most well-known cosmetic surgeon here in Las Vegas. Would you agree?
Oh, you're very kind. I have no clue. We just tried to keep doing the right thing and take good care of people. Right.
Well, I'm excited to have you on this episode. I'm going to pass this phone over to Jose. That is my videographer. If you just pick up the call and invite him into the studio. But I'm super excited to have you here and sharing your message and sharing why you're doing what you're doing and a little bit about your story. So can you share with me what got you into cosmetic surgery in the first place?
Oh, wow. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, somewhere around Washington, D.C., I was the only male child of 2 Jewish parents, as far as I know. I always wanted an older sister, but they didn't bless me with one.
Right.
And I didn't know that I didn't really have a choice. I couldn't be a marine biologist and couldn't be a firefighter.
Why not?
Well, because there were expectations being raised up in a Jewish household.
Okay.
I was bound to become a doctor.
Is it like in your family, is it doctor, lawyer, something of that level?
I'm actually the first generation that's gone this far educationally.
Oh, interesting.
So I had phenomenal support and just never recognized how lucky I was as a kid. But even as a child, I was a procedurist. So
what's a procedurist?
I built things.
Okay.
I was a kid who pulled things out of the Tinker Toy set and was building skyscrapers where everybody else was building little houses and fences. I was a kid who worked in a bike shop and was building racing bikes that athletes took down in Potomac Park. And the kid who built a functional air cushion vehicle in his basement as part of the Industrial Arts Research Lab because Mom said I couldn't have a car. So I built a hovercraft and stuff like that. So, that's what I do. That's what I love. That's what I have passion for. And it's what I'm blessed to have a gift to do, is to see things and to hear things and to put them together in a way that works better sometimes or works again. And so when I was fortunate enough to do my undergrad at Johns Hopkins and work in a research lab there.
Did you go to Johns Hopkins first, then you went to Georgetown, or was it the other way?
Nope, that was it. So all my friends were at Maryland and getting a great education there, but having a little bit of free time to enjoy it. I was the kid in the 4-degree cold room at 2 a.m. who was running Cephadx columns and then running home to take the dog out and then, starting class at 7 a.m. But, even though I'm a nerd, I have a nice rounded education. I got a great education there, and I'm very thankful. And I didn't get into medical school first time around. Got waitlisted at 2 or 3 different prominent universities. So kept going, Mr. Science, and did a master's degree in physiology at Georgetown University. I did a 2-year program in 1 year.
Okay.
Because I'm not competitive. And
so where does that come from? Like this resiliency to succeed at a high level?
It had to come from my family.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So you mentioned that you were first generation. First generation means that you're the first one that was either born here or raised here. Is that right?
So that may be a little misstatement. I was the first generation to go this far in school. My parents got through college, and I'm the first one who went through grad school and then med school and then residency and so forth.
Gotcha. And what challenges does that create, if it does, for your family being the first one to go this far in education?
I've always had an incredibly supportive family and incredibly supportive friends, and I just have to stay up later and work harder.
Right on, right on. So Aesthetic Revolution is your organization, correct?
That is our 5,300 square foot of fun at the corner of 215 and Sunset over by Southern Hills Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Look out on their heliport. And it's a state-of-the-art facility. We have our own licensed operating room. We have 10 other rooms, 2 plastic surgeons that work there, skilled boarded plastic surgeons that work there with me that I'm honored to call on their services, and some nurse injectors and first surgical assists, and a team that's, of medical assistants and front office staff that are just outstanding. And they're a lot of fun.
So tell me the story of how you got to the point of owning Aesthetic Revolution.
When I was looking for a residency and recognized I was a procedurist more than just a straight internal medicine doc, and inside the Beltway in D.C., as you mentioned, your East Coast, if you were a cardiologist or a gastroenterologist or a pulmonologist, you were internal medicine, you got a great deal of respect.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were a surgeon, you kind of got looked at as a high-class plumber without your butt crack showing.
Like when you were a cosmetic surgeon?
Nope, that was just when I was in medical school looking for a residency.
Gotcha.
And
okay.
I wanted to figure out where I could go that I could use my passion of doing procedures and still satisfy the needs to be an internist.
Mm-hmm.
Family medicine gave me both of those. So I moved to north of Pennsylvania and was fortunate to go into an unopposed, that means there were no other residents in this brand new state-of-the-art 400-some bed hospital. And we had some of the best teachers up from Pittsburgh. And we got to do everything from ICU, CCU admissions. We floated our own Swan-Ganz catheters. We did 500 high-risk deliveries a year. We virtually ran the ER. We went into surgery with all our patients, so we followed at the family practice center. We took care of nursing home patients, so all their decubitus ulcers. We fixed hemorrhoids and vasectomies and all manner of lump and bump.
Gosh.
So it was a very broad-based education. I didn't realize at the time. I was just in my happy place.
Yeah.
And
so this space you're naturally a good fit in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where I belong. And so eventually, as I got asked to lecture about things, and I was the first doc to bring a CO2 laser into Western Pennsylvania, I brought it in as
That's
a
your
surgical
niche, right? That's where you focus in?
Doing procedures of all kinds.
Okay.
But the CO2 laser as a cutting and coagulating instrument is just a different way of using a scalpel.
Okay.
But it doesn't touch the tissue. It doesn't deflect the tissue, and it seals the tissue as it's cutting so that you work in a nearly bloodless field. It seals the nerve endings so your patients have less pain as they're healing. How cool is that? I became proficient in it, and we used it in the family practice center and such from nose to toes. I got invited to the European Academy of Cosmetic Surgery, where they asked me to talk on what do you do with your CO2 laser when you're not resurfacing someone's face, because that's what all the plastic surgeons and derms used it for. I met some incredible people, and they said, if you can do this, you ought to think about doing that. And that opened up the world.
To doing in other parts of the body.
I was already doing other parts of the body, but to doing aesthetic procedures. So basically, I took a basal cell carcinoma off of someone's face. They got a lovely result.
What is that?
So that's an early skin cancer.
Okay.
And probably one of the most benign, if you will, of skin cancers. It doesn't generally metastasize to kill you, but it'll make you miserable. And
how does it start?
Starts as a spot or a bump anywhere on the body.
Discolored?
It can be.
Okay.
It can be. And when we got good margins on that and helped him heal, he came back for one of his rechecks and said, my wife doesn't like this mole on the side of my face. Can you get rid of that? And I had to ask my practice manager, it's not covered under insurance. What do we do? I think we charged him $25.
Are you serious?
But the little light bulb in my head went on. Oh, $3 copay or $5 copay, or $25 in cash, and not waiting for the insurances and all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And then I got to come out to Vegas to teach a course. And the group that sponsored the course said, why don't you come out here and just do procedures all day long?
Where was this at?
So
was this at a clinic, or was it somewhere else? Okay.
Yep. So it was an anesthesiologist, a pain doc down on Smoke Ranch. And I walked out of Western Pennsylvania with all the steel mills and 57 days or so of sunlight a year. The rest of the time it was overcast. Came out here as we're coming off the plane because I actually brought most of my staff because they wanted us to do live cases.
Okay.
And we're peeling off the snorkel jackets and the boots and the gloves and coming off the plane. They put us up at this glorious place called Palace Station. Back in the days when it was brand new, the second tower was going up and it was amazing. And we're sitting by the pool going, who wants to go home? They have sunlight. The clinic is beautiful. It has glass. It has stone floors. It's well equipped. And so eventually, after dating, if you will, a bit, I did come out. And the group, as with some things in Vegas, turned out to be not exactly what I thought.
Oh, okay.
Because it turned out in the 6 weeks between visits, it took them every bit of 6 weeks to find enough cases to keep me busy for a weekend. It wasn't going to be like that all the time.
Right.
And so after about 6 months with them, when they hadn't paid my laser leases or my moving expenses or whatever, my accountant buddy said, why are you working for someone else? Your checks are coming later and later. And, you know, at that point, I had privileges at 5 different hospitals. I'd met a bunch of other docs, and I was blessed to go in with Mort Rayfield, who was chief of surgery down at Valley at the time. And he had one of his associates who'd gone on sabbatical or whatnot, so he had an extra space, and I was first assisting with him and doing procedures in his little procedure room, and we've grown since then.
Impressive. Now, where does Aesthetics Revolution come into play in here?
When Mort passed on in his prime, at that point I was doing, about 98, 99, I was doing just aesthetic medicine. So it was all fee-for-service medicine, no insurance. It was all about helping people and helping their appearances. And again, one of the patients that I took care of said, there's a new hospital going up in that Summerlin place, and they're looking for docs to take office space. So eventually we moved from downtown out to Summerlin, which was a better demographic, more people with disposable income and things like that. From the hospital, I did my first build out, which was at Spring Mountain in Durango, across from the soccer park.
Question for you: where were you living at this time? Were you in Summerlin or?
Wow. So initially, I lived in a little apartment across from Trop and Rainbow.
Okay.
There's some apartments in there, very humble beginnings.
Yeah.
And then when we did move out to Summerlin, we rented a little house, a little 2-bedroom house.
Okay.
And gradually got to the point after several years where we could buy our first little house.
Yeah.
And things continued from there. We lived down in Mountain's Edge.
And how old were you at the time?
Oh, God, I'm 65 now, so somewhere over the last 20 years.
Okay, gotcha.
So, yeah, I mean, like every Las Vegas, I think we've moved like 10 times before we finally got to our place. So, yeah, I mean, you like to be close to work. So now that I'm on the west side of town and I work on the west side of town and I'm 10 minutes either way most of the time, and we have our more than 57 days of sunlight a year and I have a great staff, I really can't complain.
Amazing. You opened up Aesthetic Revolution, and then what was the process on growing the business? Because this podcast is for people who are starting, growing, or even scaling their business. Whether they have one location they want to franchise it, or they're saying, "Hey, I want to open up branch offices and so forth." So, what was like your humble beginnings of starting Aesthetic Revolution?
So, our first office that we built out on Spring Mountain in Durango had my name on the front, so it had Zimmerman above the door.
Okay.
And then I was asked to participate in a group, sort of a joint venture that was a little further down the road. And in bringing other people in, I wanted to better describe, because I'd been here a decade or so, what we did. So at that point, we became Las Vegas Laser and Lipo.
Yeah.
That more described what we were doing. It didn't have my name on it, so other people could participate in the grief or the glory and feel that they had a home there. And then as we evolved, Las Vegas Laser and Lipo really didn't adequately describe the breadth that we had grown into with our own accredited operating room, state-of-the-art equipment, multiple surgeons operating under the same roof. So we became Aesthetic Revolution Las Vegas.
Do you think that if you could talk to yourself 20 years ago, would you communicate with yourself back then and say, hey, just call it Aesthetic Revolution from the beginning? Or does the progression of it, was part of the story on how it grew?
Golly, that's a good question. I think I might have accelerated the change, but I had to grow into my own shoes to be able to fulfill that evolution. So I think that first I had to become proficient and believe in myself and be aware that others were believing in me before I could continue to expand the neighborhood and bring other people in and not feel threatened and celebrate their victories and continue to grow in that fashion.
What area in your personal life as a business owner would you say has really, made a shift, say from 20 years ago to now? It could be part personal, it could be part business, it could be leadership, it could be how you organize, it could be wherever.
I think Andy, it's a number of those things. Family is certainly core. My kids have matured from kids to being totally independent professionals that I have enormous respect for. One's a third-year resident in family medicine, West Point graduate at down at Fort Benning, and he's just a really cool human being. And I have an absolutely positively amazing daughter who's just south of brilliant, maybe north of brilliant too. But her insights and professionalism I just admire the hell out of her. Yeah. I am fortunate enough to.
They got your genes.
Maybe. Maybe. My better 2/3 is an equal amazing human being, and I couldn't do the things I do without her insight and assistance and her love.
So your family core values is what progressed over the last 20 years.
That's certainly part of it.
Yeah.
And I think being at the right place at the right time and being open so that I could participate in organizations like the American Academy of Cosmetic Surgery and eventually rise to be on their board of trustees to understand more about the business of running an international organization, and then migrate over to the Cosmetic Surgery Foundation, where I'm actually an officer as well as on their board. I am the current president of the American Board of Laser Surgery, which is a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to education of all walks of life, all kinds of people that use lasers and lights. So everyone from physicians to physicists to veterinarians to dentists, all of us need education. And the education is continuously evolving, although the basics, gravity is gravity, photons are photons. But how to use those safely with the recognition of tissue interaction and physics and how to use those instruments better, that's what that organization is all about. And I'm blessed to work with some brilliant minds there, and everybody gives their services for free, and we just work with each other and learn, and we serve.
So as well as like you're just overall, it seems like your life is just continually progressing. That's what it sounds like.
If you stop, you die.
Yeah, 100%. Dr. Zimmerman, one of the areas of my life that I just really tapped into is I just proposed. And
congratulations.
I proposed, thank you. I proposed a month and a half ago, and I was in a place where, the man just constantly hustling, just working, spending a lot of time at work. When you walked into my house, when I used to live in Los Angeles last year, you walk into my apartment, you got whiteboards on we don't have a living room or a dining room. You got whiteboards. It's a single man's territory, right? That's a business owner. Man cave. And she came into my life, and then she's like, nope, we're going to put a big old couch here. We're going to put this on the wall, paintings here, this and that. Now I walk into my home, and it's actually a home now. And so I decided, hey, look, I want to marry you. So 44 years, you're a junior. What advice would you give me, and as well as to the audience who's in a place that's similar? That's running a business, and also in a relationship, also in a relationship.
So who decided who wanted to marry who?
I did.
Well, you think you did. So she's your queen.
She is.
She is what's going to preserve your sanity. Sometimes make you a little crazy, but for your own good. And that you want to grow old with.
Yeah.
And to mature and have the stability to be together even when you're not physically together. That will save you.
I'm all thinking you're gonna give me some, something. Hey, when you're working, send her a text message. Something.
Oh,
like that.
yeah. I may be the emoji king here, but yeah.
I mean,
you got to let her know sometimes.
So you're very active on your phone. I mean, even before we started our podcast, you were like, "Hey, let me send a selfie to my assistant and let her know what we're doing and so forth." So share with me about TikTok and about the internet, how you've grown your business. If you've grown your business utilizing the internet.
Wow, over the years where social media has become more and more invasive in our lives, we have improved our website. And we're constantly trying to improve that and put up new galleries and change the written format that can be more educational to people and more updated. But now we've got Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and they all appeal to different populations. So it's challenging to be able to fulfill all of their needs. And my publicist and my director, I'm just the talent, does all that and more. And she really is the core of my success. She catches me doing things right and then puts it out on the media.
Gotcha. What input did you have in your brand? You have almost 1 million people following you on TikTok.
No, we have more than 1 million now.
You tapped over 1 million?
Yeah, we're 1.1, baby. Keep up.
Within the last week?
Yeah.
That's impressive, man.
Dude.
That's impressive. Last week, you were at like 980-something thousand people.
Yeah, well.
He's growing.
Here.
He's growing. Smashing on the TikTok. Now, who came up with your name on TikTok?
How about that?
1.1. 1.1.
And
awesome.
4.1 million likes.
4.7, man. Keep up.
Oh, 4.7. Dude. Good on you.
4.7.
Wow. People are amazing. I mean, we're having a great time. And, we're getting good feedback from other physicians as well and a lot of people. And the idea is to come away with a little education. Some of it's a little risque. Some of it's a little on edge. We know there are a lot of kids on TikTok. And, that's why all the verbiage where we talk about pickles and soldiers and Virginias and Richards. Unadulterated plug for Richard Peter Johnson because he's really become the mascot of the TikTok on TikTok.
Right.
And everybody wants to know where they can adopt him or one of his family.
Man, you might just make a killing selling one on eBay.
Yeah. It is already under development. Get out of my head. So, but the TikTok on TikTok, despite the 1 million+ followers, is just a fraction of what we do every day. And
how has it
amazing.
So as we wrap up, how has it made changes financially in the business?
It's starting to make financial impacts, and I don't think we've really
capitalized on it
as quickly as some on TikTok have. So, obviously we've protected the trademarks and things like that, and we're studying the best ways to take advantage of those to continue to do and to have a brand that we can put out there or a following in other venues. Because the things that happen in medicine, good and bad, but mainly good and mainly sometimes unbelievable, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
So people come through the door
it's a science.
Yeah, and I mean, this would be great fodder for a reality show.
Yeah.
And we've knocked that idea around and we've been approached, quite honestly.
Yeah.
We've been approached for a couple of different things. So, at this point in my life, I'm having a wonderful time doing the procedures that I love to do. And I don't do stuff that I don't enjoy. So, I have partners for that.
Yeah.
So that part's cool. And so we're able to cater to most of people's needs. And I think some of the things that make us special are being blatantly honest with people. When a person comes in to meet you and do their initial evaluation, it's kind of like speed dating. They're deciding if they want to be with you, but it works vice versa.
You're deciding if you want to work with them.
If you're an owner bringing someone else into your family, into your space, protect it. Protect your staff. I'm learning, and it's hard for me because I want to take care of everybody, but I'm learning to say no and learning to listen to my staff to keep people who are unrealistic or toxic out of the environment. They're right way too often because no one needs the headaches, and sometimes you just can't satisfy people.
We work with a body contour specialist. We can't say plastic surgeon for whatever legality reason.
Sure.
So we work with a body contour specialist out here in Georgia. And one of the things that he shared with me when we started his marketing campaign was he said to me, Andy, and my employees are number one. And I'm like, your employees are number one? Elaborate more. And he says, if I take care of my employees, they take care of my clients.
Mm-hmm.
The team takes care of the clients. So if you as the owner got to take care of your team members, so that way they can take care of your clients. So what you've discovered here is what you're sharing here is that, hey, sometimes you'll say no to people as they come in and they're asking for your service, and you're like, hey, look, for whatever reason, we're not going to do business together because you want to protect your team. Is that right?
In the nicest possible way.
Now, why do you find that to be important?
I like to sleep at night, and having toxicity in your environment, that turbulence trickles all throughout your world. So it goes to your employees, it goes to your home, it goes to your other patients. And life is short. Eat dessert first. Learn from my mistakes. Been there, done that.
So that's a huge lesson, especially if you're in a place where you're growing your business, you're scaling your business, to say no.
Yeah.
To say no if it's not in alignment with the vision.
And I'm not good at it.
Yeah. So
it's one of the many things I'm not good at.
But let me ask you this. What is the vision? 5 years from now, aesthetic revolution. 10 years from now, aesthetic revolution. What does it look like?
I think we continue to grow the vision of being an incubator of excellence and diversity and pushing the science of aesthetic medicine forward, where we can do procedures safely and educate others and enjoy doing it amongst ourselves. We have docs visit from all over the country. We've had docs from all over the world. I've been asked to speak in 5 continents so far.
Oh my goodness.
It's kind of fun. But whenever I leave the office, as much misgivings as I have about, I'm not pushing the wagon uphill, we're going to bring in enough income to keep the doors open, I always learn. I learn from everybody. I learned by being here this morning from you.
Yeah. What have you learned?
Well, I've evolved.
Progression.
Because I had that same man cave.
Yeah.
Without the understanding of who asked who to actually get married.
So who asked who in your relationship?
Well, in this relationship, I think it was very much a mutual thing, but I think my sweetheart was more aware of it sooner than I was, and she was very patient and waiting for me to come around.
Awesome.
She allowed me to grow into it and build my trust and my faith in her. And she is my rock.
Awesome. Impressive, man. Impressive. Man, your story is profound. What you've accomplished from just trying to figure out the residency portion all the way to like, hey, you're running the Dick Doc on TikTok and millions because your content is shared. So people don't have to follow you to be a number or a viewer. Your content is shared. So millions of people being tapped with your content, man. Thank you so much for your work.
Well, again, I'm only the talent. Stacy's the boss. She's the one who really has the brains behind the organization, and it would not function without her.
Oh, impressive. How can people reach out to you if they're looking for surgical, or if they're looking for advice, if they're looking just to reach out to you?
So our website is www.aestheticrevolutionlv.com. And there's lots of before and after pictures and a little bit about our philosophy, a little bit about some of the services that we offer and things. Our office phone is 702-360-6686. And then, of course, there's always TikTok. But we get so many questions and so many good questions, I can't keep up.
Do you get clients on TikTok?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I meet some really cool people because we do virtuals for everywhere in the world. And, I'm very fortunate to sit in the living rooms or offices of a number of people. And it's not just guys. We're doing couples counseling. We have a number of procedures that we do for women because that's who drives our universe.
Right.
So, we're very inclusive, and, my female providers in my office are superb.
Impressive. Well, thank you so much for being on the episode, Dr. Zimmerman.
Andy, thank you so much too.
And if you're in the space where you want to connect with him, be sure to rewind, get his phone number. Thank you so much for being on the episode.
Tune in every week to discover new stories, new businesses, and new ideas.